Hi, welcome to another exciting edition of Scarlet Betch. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Jason.
So, it's been a while since we podcasted, but we have a lot of things to talk about.
So first things first, we're going to give a shout out to all of our new friends at geeksout.org.com. I can't remember. I think it's org. Com? Oh.
I don't know.
I think it's org.
Okay.
Hi.
Fight.
But hi everyone. We're really excited to be, on your space and sharing our content with you. And so totally give us feedback on what you'd like us to talk about. And if we
Right, it is org. Damn it.
I was right. Either email us or leave comments on our blog post. We definitely will be reading all of them because we have limited lives.
Definitely. I'm mayor of two places. Both of them are my house. On Foursquare. That was a Foursquare joke. Hi to everyone. And first things first, iZombie ended. So sad. But it was a great issue, I thought. No last issue of Stephanie Brown Batgirl, but very nice. It summed things up. It was not kind of a Deus Ex Machina. There was like one fact that came in at the end that sealed the deal, but I thought it was a very well kind of laid out ending that, kind of brought all the plot threads together for one giant denouement. And like they had an epilogue where everyone lived happily ever after the end. But yeah, they presented this big issue. They used that big issue to resolve all of the character tensions. So I thought it was awesome. And it had a giant naked lady in it. So there you go.
So I haven't really read much of. I think I've read like the first issue of iZombie. What is the queer element? I heard it's a gay wear-carrier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Gwen's best friend is originally presented as like having a crush on her, but evidently, I mean, maybe he does. I guess it's the end of the series, right? So it doesn't count as spoilers if I talk about plot elements?
No.
Okay,
well, spoiler alert, people.
Well, okay, spoiler alert. He's dating her brother?
Okay.
But her brother is routinely possessed by a ghost who is straight. So it's this very, like, cold romance. Because her brother likes Spot, but then half the time he's straight. And from the 1800s. So he talks funny, too. It was very... I liked the story in terms of the metaphor that it was given for, like, people who don't want to talk to you in public. Or, I liked it a lot. And then it ended. And I was like, I didn't see this coming. Of course, I didn't buy any of your issues, numbers 1 through 24, so maybe that should have been a clue. But, yeah, it was a good 2.5 run. So, good job. What about Teen Titans? I have it written down. You have some news about it.
Yes, well, it's not necessarily... I mean, it was news, like, 3 weeks ago, and I kept on meaning to blog about it. And I don't know why I didn't, because it's so easy, but I didn't. So I'm going to talk about it right now. So evidently, during San Diego Comic-Con, during the Teen Titans panel, it was revealed that we would be meeting Bunker's boyfriend in the near future. The reveal was like Bunker was going to wake up in Mexico and find that his boyfriend, who had like awoken from a coma, had gone to America to become a superhero. So everyone was like, who is Bunker's boyfriend? Why was he in a coma? And what? Yeah. So everyone's like, what? So very recently, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, the writer... Are you... Pull it together, girl. Pull it together.
His boyfriend awakes from a coma?
Yeah. It's very like Days of Our Lives.
Yes, it's very Days of Our Lives.
So it was like, who's Bunker's boyfriend going to be? And then so recently, the writer tweeted something about Bunker's boyfriend, and that he said, Bunker's boyfriend is not going to be fridged. I just get that vibe. And everyone's like, well, A, good for no fridging, gay boyfriends, because we've had a lot of that recently, Earth 2. Then 2, everyone was like picked up on like, I get that vibe, because it was revealed in New Comic Book Day about the previews for the new big DC event that's going to be coming down the pipeline, Trinity War, that the character Vibe, who was like a Justice League member from like the '90s who wasn't very popular with a lot of people. This like Mexican American superhero with vibration powers, sound powers, was going to be coming back into the New 52. So everyone's like, oh, Vibe is totally going to be Bunker's boyfriend, and they're both Mexican and they're both gay. And well, Vibe was never like officially gay, but he was kind of heavily hinted at being light in the loafers. So I was like, oh, like two Mexican superheroes and they're totally boyfriends. That's awesome. And on one hand, I'm like, I guess they could kind of be like Wicked and Hulkling for DC. But then on the other hand, I mean, like, know that the DC with Bunker was like, we're not going to make him a gay stereotype. He's going to be like his own person, and his gayness is not going to be like a big part of it, a big deal. I'm like, yeah, he wasn't a gay stereotype, but he's totally a Mexican stereotype. He spends half of his time saying "ay caramba," and so like to double the like "ay caramba"ness of like Bunker's vibration boyfriend, I don't really know what to think about that.
I can tell you what I thought as soon as he said his boyfriend was going to be a Mexican American with vibration powers. I was like, you mean Richter?
Yeah, I know, right?
So, gay ladies as superheroes make rainbows when they fly, and gay dudes are Mexican with vibration powers.
Yeah.
Didn't know that about gay people, but now you do.
Well, the funny thing about the ladies who make rainbows when they fly is that they're both in Marvel. It's like...
And I guess one of them was like a legacy character that they later cleared up, and the other one was an original character. And I don't know if she predated Julie's coming out.
I think she did.
Yeah, because I think Julie came out in
Runaways. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Finding connections. Hopefully, this will be an opportunity to present another type of Mexican superhero. Yeah, that sounds cool. I know nothing about Vibe, other than he is basically Richter. So maybe he'll be as angsty and 90s-esque as...
Yeah, well, his 90s costume is super, like, flaming. He has, like, a deep V that goes, like, down to his navel.
Here's the funniest thing. To me, the funniest thing about gay superheroes is, like, you look at gay superheroes that I feel like straight people made, and you look at gay superheroes that gay people made, and when straight people make them, they're super flamey and effeminate. And when gay people make them, they're super... I'm thinking of Gravity Kid in what was the Legion, and how he definitely was all cutouts. Like, he was the power boy of the Legion, but it was all square cuts. There's none of this like V's. You know how Rob Liefeld draws women, just giant V's.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
his name brings me pain.
Yeah, so it's just interesting. So hopefully we'll get an updated costume. It's the new 52. It's a new day. We can consult maybe with Phil Jimenez. Maybe he can have some input.
Fingers crossed.
Sounds good. I guess that I definitely see like the Mexican stereotype of him just using all these like Mexicanisms, but I also hate reading Rogue and Gambit under someone who thinks that their dialect is their character.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely not something that is just. I feel like it's more symptomatic of someone going like, oh yeah, when someone has a different weird nationality, it means they talk different, and that's how I can make them sound like a different character. I don't have to give them their own voice. It doesn't get in the way of me liking Bunker as I like Bunker.
Yeah. So with Rogue and Gambit,
see, okay, yeah. I hate when they write every single word.
Yeah.
Like 1 or 2 words a page, maybe, to remind me that this is in a Scottish accent. But Scottish people write the same English.
Yeah.
Like, they just say it differently. They don't spell didn't, D-I-N-N-A-E.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't write that, because that's not how they would write it. And I mean, you can always, the A-H instead of I for Rogue, sure, do that. But like when she stops dropping every single R that she is supposed to be saying, then it becomes a cipher. And I'm not in the comic to decipher what someone's trying to say.
That's all I wanted to say about Teen Titans, that he's getting a boyfriend who might be Speedy Gonzalez, but we don't know.
Boyfriends, gay people. I feel like we're at the point. What I like about Kevin Keller is that he has a future boyfriend. So like they went along with this trend of like gay people can't be unhappy because gay means happy and gay is not unhappy. We like gay people. We're not going to make them unhappy. But it means that it's that kind of like boring thing where you make a character and their thing is that they're gay, which means they get a coming out story and then they get nothing.
Yeah.
And I feel like people have moved away from that, but they haven't moved away from like needing the gay character to be balanced and happy, which is, I don't think, like, I think you need to write their flaws in a relationship. And so what I'm scared of for Bunker is that he's going to get this idealized relationship, given that he is kind of the Gary Stu of the group. You know, he's like the cheerleader, and he's like, he just kind of like floats among the characters and like keeps them on their path.
Yeah.
So it's nice that he'll have a personal relationship now, versus I really did like his relationship with, what's her name?
Solstice.
Solstice, exactly, yeah. I did like that, because I was like, yeah, that's true, that's accurate. But, yeah, it'll be nice to have him have a real relationship, but the big question will be, will they write that? You know, like, Stryker is a flawed character, awesome, but when they introduce a boyfriend, it's just not good. That was when they introduced Sam in Earth 2, like, oh, I'm also rich.
Yeah, and
and
billionaire
our relationship is perfect. You should move to America so we can get married. Oh, gross. And so, speaking of Earth 2, I continue to have my fingers crossed for no real reason. When have comic books really catered to me? You know?
Yeah.
I just keep having my fingers crossed that like Solomon Grundy will morph into Sam, and that'll be his identity, and like that's so Sam will get to continue as a character, or like they'll introduce Rose and Thorn, and half of that will be Sam, and like Sam will come back from the dead in some way because these are comic books, and they can do that, and people liked him for the 2 seconds he was in comic books. They had the Green Lantern crash into Solomon Grundy, and no recognition, nothing. So,
yeah,
also, that storyline, we're going to introduce Solomon Grundy, and then we're going to defeat him real quick.
Well,
we're gonna kill a bunch of people
that's the thing, like, I just really wish that comic books like this would take their time a little bit. Like, I know that I don't think you're reading Ultimate Spider-Man. The Black Ultimate Spider-Man, Brian Bendis took a long time. You know, he took 12 issues to really kind of like, or maybe it was just like 6 issues to kind of like tell the origin story of this kid, and that was just it was just so well done and so well paced. But like I feel with Earth 2, it's just like we have like 4 different origin stories packed into like 3 issues. It's just too much, and I don't care about any of these characters because I am not made to care about any of them. And I think they're really relying on this nostalgic factor, which is odd because the whole point of New 52 is to get new readers. And so like, why are you relying on this nostalgia stuff to make me care about these characters that you're introducing too fast? So
exactly, that is very succinct and completely to the point. And it reminds me of, you know, whenever they restart the New Mutants and they want to have a whole new cast of characters, but they only give them 1 issue to develop each character, versus maybe focusing on a couple through a 6-issue storyline and then building the team from on top of it.
If Earth 2 just gave a single issue to each of these new characters, that would be like a step up from what they're doing, because it's just so frenetic right now that I can't even tell what's going on.
Yeah, and I feel like they did that for The Flash.
Yeah, I guess they did.
Yeah, and now the number of characters are increasing exponentially.
Yeah.
Like, did they have to introduce the Atom in this storyline?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they had enough of. I think you could last at least 4 issues with just 3 characters, like making them get together and telling that.
And I also just really didn't like the whole like how Flash and Hawkgirl met, and they're like, there's this kind of conceit in comic books that like whenever superheroes meet, they must fight to see how, and it's just like, guys, really? That doesn't make any sense. Why are you fighting? That's kind of stupid.
I've surrendered to that, since I'm like, well, how else are we gonna have them fight ever? Otherwise, they're just gonna sit around talking. So, did we want to talk about karma?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, karma has really bad karma, evidently. she is kind of getting. I think you mentioned this. I think in our last issue or at some point, like that for being a like psychic or mentalist or whatever, she gets like possessed like all the time, or she gets mind fucked all the time. And I'm like, really, you should be better at this because like what you do is like taking over people's minds. So right now,
power is to possess other people, and so the way that that works is that everyone possesses her, and she gets beat up every 6 months.
yeah. So just to review some history for people, in like the 80s, I think she got like totally mind fucked by the Shadow King, and then went into some alternate dimension and got really really obese and fat because the Shadow King is like loves to eat or something, and then like they find her, she's all fat and disgusting, she's like really sad, and then she gets lost in a desert and they become skinny again because evidently she watches a lot of like Man versus Wild. But then like until like now very recently, she's like in Astonishing X-Men, despite being the master mentalist that she is, and also like very recently her powers have been expanding beyond just mere possession. She just has a lot more nuance to them. She can like enter people's minds and do weird fucking stuff. But now she's being mind fucked by is it like some lady with Hydra or something? I don't know who she is. She's some. Yeah.
It's fairly unclear right now.
Yeah. But she's being basically she's being mind fucked to control her teammates to attack each other. And then she kind of disappeared, like walked off and disappeared for a while. But then also at the same time, in New Mutants, Karma had like kind of left the team and like was going to be like the librarian again, like Utopia or something, or she was going to like rehabilitate some. Oh, Face. That's right. She's going to like work with Face. But then she came back from the future in this recent arc, and then during that arc, she was taken over by the Cypher from the future, which is really strange. And it's just
it's so weird because she's constantly being defined by how she is being used or what her role is to other people. Yeah. So she's constantly quitting teams to go take care of her siblings when they exist.
Yeah.
She is constantly going to take care of Face, which I thought was the most ridiculous thing. I was like, for some reason, this author has an attachment to this ridiculous character that has no applicability to anything, unless he somehow gets Siamese twin bonded to Karma so that she has a laser beam head. Like, it really doesn't make any sense. Like, oh yeah, definitely, Karma's time will be best used dealing with this person who has no ability to function in the world.
Yeah.
And with the Shadow King, where she just like vanishes, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring her back as this obese villain now, and just her entire existence has constantly been like, oh yeah, we should do something with Karma. What?
But
why? Or finding excuses to not write her.
Well, I guess like the central part of this problem is that like Karma as a character is defined by victimhood. She's constantly victimized. Whether it's people like us, mentally assaulting her and taking over her body, whether it's
her origin story was her brother going evil and her protecting her younger siblings.
But then
she's
also
in a protector role all of the time.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, she is constantly on the defensive and constantly being victimized. So the only way she can have agency is by being victimized, because at all other times she is in a steady state.
Yeah. Also, she wins like Oppression Olympics. Like,
right?
She has so many like disenfranchised identities. Like she's
an amputee, lesbian,
Southeast Asian,
Vietnamese woman.
Yeah, Vietnamese woman with like mental problems. I'm like, could you have like more like problems in the world? I'm not sure. But
the best Karma story that I ever read was during Curse of the Mutants, when the X-Men fought the vampires, and she had this awesome storyline where it took place in her Weight Watchers meetings, where she had to pay a huge sum when she got her robot leg. Best tie-in. And then the new Weight Watchers group leader turns out to be a vampire and like attacks people, and she has to kill her.
Naturally. Naturally.
It's awesome. It's the best. And it was good because Karma did something, and I am constantly waiting for her to have a gun on her leg.
Yes, I
Come
know, right?
on, for a character who is clearly there to be, who is only there to be used. I don't understand why they haven't gone with the Grindhouse classic move of having a hot girl with a gun on her leg. Like, it's not rocket science.
Yeah, and it's also like doubly kind of like ridiculous to me that because like I think Karma lost her leg in the same time that Hellion lost his hands, or it was like the same event, I think. And then so like Karma gets like a full synthetic, functioning leg, and Hellion is like, "Shut out of luck for you! You get 2 metal gauntlets. You can manipulate telekinetically." Sorry, like our character designer got lazy, or it's like.
Well, I feel like the character designer got awesome. No, I feel like the character designer got lazy with Karma. Like, it's cool that his arms, like, honestly, his arms should attach like regular arms, so he doesn't have to look like a complete idiot when he goes out in public. But he should definitely be able to detach them since he is telekinetic. I understand that Karma is not telekinetic, but then to give her a leg that it functionally does nothing, or give her a leg and then never have her use it to kick anyone. It's just, it's not good. Anyway.
So moving on from our issues with Karma. What's next on the list?
So many issues. We should write a comic book about it. Be a continuing series. I just wanted to drop some Teen Wolf love because this season has been awesome. Up until this episode, which looks like it was directed by a Teen Wolf. But up until this point, it's been pretty solid. They didn't solve the problem that they had last season of ignoring their female characters. But to be fair, they also have no female characters. So, one of them got development, the other one did not. The other one has the power of love. That's not been done before.
And I just wanted to give a shout down to True Blood, because I kind of see the same issue with Earth 2, where there are so many different things and plot lines going on, and it's hard to understand why or what or who to care about, and I just really I don't understand the point of this season. And I even liked last season. People hated last season. They hated Marnie and the witch shit, and I ate that shit up. But this season, I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
What is the storyline this season?
There's so like the Vampire Authority and the vampire religious fanatics, taking over and doing away with mainstreaming and crazy shit. And there's also a storyline with like the shifter snipers, and then there's this thing with like Terry and being cursed by a demon from Iraq, and fairy shit with Suki, and there's just so much stuff, and it hurts my brain. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Just stick with one story.
Do you think that because this is Alan Ball's last season, he's going to be wrapping things up, or do you think he's going to just make a big mess?
I don't know. The fact that they introduced a villain in episode 8 of 12, and I'm like, what? You introduced a villain? It didn't make sense to me. I was like, okay.
Yeah, definitely. That brings me back to why I liked iZombie, because they took the end of their series and said, oh yeah, we did all these things with all these people, let's undo that. Or why Batgirl was so good, because it was like, let's get back to the core character and deal with that, and then also talk about the other stuff on the side. So good.
Oh, but I was going to say the one thing that I did that my one kind of like item of solace in True Blood right now is Lafayette, and how he's basically become like Whoopi Goldberg from Ghost, and it's fabulous and lovely.
I mean, Nelson Alice is playing Martin Luther King Jr. Like, he is clearly the breakout star from this show, Like, Styles in Teen Wolf.
Mm-hmm. So what do we have anything else to talk about?
I think that's about it.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in. And again, hello to all of our new viewers. And check back soon for more Scarlet Betch.
Okay, good.